Hello, my friends. I am speaking to you from my studio, which I have finally gotten ready for me to be out here, and you're going to see lots of different changes in it as we go along. But I'm going to just pick up my computer and give you a little tour. That's going to be a whiteboard that I can draw on and have um, little messages and stuff. And then here is this part of it. And here's where it looks out over our pool out in our backyard. And let me just show you the ceiling.
Hmm.
Yeah, because this is a Balinese house. And we got it years and years ago. And then we had a new roof put on and so on. And so I thought, well, it's time to do something new here. So this is just wanted to share that all with you because I would be doing more stuff from out here. And I was overhearing you, Sherry, talking about the challenges, and so glad that you are all right. And uh, for over the weekend was challenging for me because I've heard this before for like 60 years, of we're going to do something and it's not going to, it's going to just be this. And so ah, what was coming to me is that the thing that I think is really valuable for us right now is to do what we call sorting the two files. And I've mentioned that before, but I think that right now, with what's going on in the world, we can get really just spun out with everything that's going on. And I found it incredibly useful, particularly with my attention, which is a lot of what we're playing with here is how am I using my attention? And I invite you to actually make yourself a couple of files that you can actually then express what's going on for you into that so that you're not trying to handle all of this in your head. And so one file is called Things I Cannot Change or Influence. And
Hmm.
my experience is that that's quite a big file. So, and I recommend that you keep post-its so that if you got one of those thoughts that's going on, you can, or something you think you ought to be doing or an action, you write it down and then look at it and say, is this something that I actually could change or influence? And if it's not, please put it in that file because you've expressed it, you've put it in the file, then turn your attention to the much smaller file, which is things I actually could change or influence. And what I then do is what action could I take about that today? And if I'm being really precise and I have open time, what action could I take about that in the next 10 minutes? So for me, that might be signing a petition or making a phone call or things that you think, might not have any influence on the outer world, like clearing up clutter in your house, in your mind, putting things away that you don't need, which is also things you can't change or control. And then for me, that creates so much more inner space because I'm not getting spun out by all the things that are going on. And I think it's going to be pretty wild here for a while. And so that's one of the things that was just occurring to me as we were getting together, which is, ah, can I, I mean, I may want to, like I've, for the last 50 years, I've been, oh, if they would only, and don't do that. And, like talking to the film going, no, don't go open that door. But they keep opening that door. So what can each of us do to not only maintain our own well-being, but to use our attention effectively? So please take advantage of that. And on, I think both of our websites, we have, so both Hendrix and also the foundation website, we do have a little video on sorting the two files. And so if you'd like to get a little support about that, you want to dive into it more deeply, I find it really to be one of the essential tools that I use right now, which is making a choice, like where am I putting my attention? And then where am I putting my action? And what I've noticed when I do that is that I open up much more of my intuition, much more of what I'm calling an inner impulse, because I'm not flooding it with all this debris from the outside world. And when I do that, then I'm not only nurturing myself, but I'm taking actions that are much more, I think, much more effective in the world. And with our attention, what I wanted to, with our loop of attention, I had this image last night come to me of a dimmer bulb. And that didn't used to be possible, with electricity, at least, in my household. So the light was either on or off. But now you have this dimmer bulb. So you can have a lower light, you can have a really, really bright light, you can have somewhere in between. And I wanted to have us play with our attention in that way. So, like, first of all, um, for me, over the last few days, I could feel that my dimmer bulb had gotten dimmer. And so I'd like you to let yourself just notice what happens for you when your inner light, gets dimmer. I'd like you to just shape yourself. So, like, for me, it was more of a, I sort of collapsing on myself, and having thoughts of, here we go again. And notice what happens to you when you turn your own dimmer down and how you do that. And so when I'm dimmed, let yourself notice when you give attention out, when you're dimmer, what do you tend to notice and not notice? So letting your attention go out, and then letting your attention come back to you when you've got your light is dimmed. It's interesting too, where does your light dim to? Like for me, I was noticing that my dimmer switch is in my chest. So I wonder, where is your dimmer switch? Is it in your belly? Does it get turned down by fear? And I'd like you to deliberately turn your dimmer down, and then notice, what can you do to turn your light up? What is it that allows you to turn the light of your attention up in you? So I'm noticing I'm going like this. I'm opening my body. So I want to suggest that you let yourself open some part of your body that might have closed when you dim. And then notice when you're giving attention to you and you've opened up that space, what I notice is that I get more breath. So opening my body, letting myself focus on more breath. And then I'm interested, Phyllis, in that you're moving your arms up. That's one of the places that I notice, is that I get tight in my armpits. And it's an area that, I don't give a lot of attention to, except in the morning, I'm getting dressed. But I notice that I kind of get in that's a fear signature for me. So that's why I go into a little bit of a freeze, but in my armpit. So find any place in you that you're feeling that you're not having your own attention flowing through. You don't have to make big movements, but I find that any kind of movement, particularly the fear melters movements, so oozing and wiggling and rooting through those different places. And as I'm doing that, I can feel my own inner light expanding. So I'd like you to notice how, if that happens for you, and what you can do to turn the light up. And also you can turn it down when you're like, I just don't want to give my attention to this. And then you can give your attention to something that's in your file called Things I Can Change and Control. So when you've turned your dimmer up and you've got your light up, what I notice is that I notice more light out there. So when I'm sending my attention out, I'm noticing more of the light than I am noticing the places that are closed. And then when I turn my attention back to me, my attention feels softer. It feels more flowing, and then I get more movement in my body that keeps that whole attention flow going. So that's the loop of awareness suggestion that I want to make for us today. And I'd love for you to just practice that a couple of times, of opening in some way and giving attention to you. And then from that more open light turned up, then turning outward and seeing what else you notice, or an angle, like I'm noticing a whole angle of the side of the yard and noticing things that I hadn't seen in a long time out there. I was like, oh, that's there. Uh, when we first moved into this house, I was so busy with other things. It took me 4 months before I realized we had a side yard with a hose and everything. So you can miss a lot if your dimmer is turned down. So just for another go round, I'd like you to purposefully dim yourself. So what is it that you do to dim yourself? So one of the things you might be doing is letting your attention go out and get captured by all kinds of things. So another thing that you might do is just take it on like this huge burden. And so you might notice it in your shoulders. You might feel that, ah. And so I want to invite you to let there be a little giving attention to like, oh, honey, just giving yourself, you might do some love scoops to that area. And then for me, it is so imperative that I am choosing where I'm wanting to be putting my attention. And I find when I play with this, of turning my light up and down, then I experience much more choice. And so I'm not draining myself because your attention is so precious. And it's such a major resource for you that I want you to be able to use it by choice. And so I also like, you can also do this thing called changing the channel or hanging up the phone or closing that file or turning your computer off or turning the television off. So there is a function for dimmer, the dimmer switch, which you can put in your file of things I can change and control. So just take a moment and see if that's created any shifts in your aliveness or your awareness. Beautiful. I'm going to take a sip of water. And now I'd love to show the card for today. And I'd love for you to let your attention go from that open space in you to there's lots of open space out there in the collage. And I'd like you to just notice what happens when you're looking at the parts of the collage that seem lighted and the parts that seem dimmer, and going back and forth from giving attention into the collage and then giving attention to you. And I'd like you to continue doing that. I'm going to just read you this threshold question. I wonder how much love and appreciation I can give and receive today. And you can create that. I wonder how much love and appreciation I can give and receive today. So that's one of the big things we have control over. Appreciation and love I can give and receive. So notice if you're feeling more adept at giving appreciation and love. Most of us are more adept at giving than we are at receiving. And so I'd like you to take a moment to open up your receivers. Where in you would like to receive love and appreciation? Like literally, where in you? Like I can feel that my jaws would like a little bit. And my calves, for some reason, my calves would like some love and appreciation today. And so I'm actually reaching down and I'm going to give some touch to both of those areas. And the is also such a great bridge from busy mind and, catastrophizing mind into love and appreciation, and it puts you into your creative brain. So that's sometimes if I'm feeling rattled, I will move into a I wonder how best to respond to this. So let yourself create a and notice if there's something in your life that is asking for some more love and appreciation. or something in you or a friend. And then when I ask that question with curiosity, I find that the universe responds. The universe responds and gives me an opportunity to love and appreciate. So let's come on back to our bigger group here. I wanted to focus today with the card on love and appreciation, because I think particularly appreciation creates a connection, not only with you, but a connection with others, even if you don't have a spoken connection. If you're appreciating, that is, you're noticing what's working, you're giving your attention to somebody or something going on, it creates a flow. And that flow supports not only, I think appreciation is a wonderful way to create a flow of love, but it also helps to uncover people's genius. If I'm appreciating something unique about somebody, it's probably something they don't give any attention to, because our own genius is so easy that we probably, we don't notice it. So if someone says, I so appreciate how you give attention to color and how color can connect and create enlivening. And people say, oh, well, that's just, doesn't everybody do that? It's just so easy. But having you and having us identify and share what we appreciate gives people a sense of, oh, that sense of, I'm being noticed with love and appreciation. And so I'd like you just right now to give appreciation. You don't even have to say anything, although you might want to because you're muted. You can just go ahead and say, I really appreciate the quality of the way that your face opens up when you smile. I'd like you to just give attention to some other folks and then letting yourself be willing to receive that somebody's also noticing you at the same time. So let's just do that a little bit, kind of a and noticing and appreciating and yes. And then if your body wants to do something in response to that, that just adds to the connection and the play for everybody. And then also, if you would like some attention, please just do this and we'll give you, in the loop of awareness, we'll give you some attention. Yes. So letting yourself give attention, then be sure to give it to you so that you're not just letting it all flow out. So letting yourself circulate and then back to you. And then giving some more. And I'm going to let my beams go and then back to me. So you could play with your beaming or your shining and then shining back to you. So all of those aspects of light, like really laser, like giving some attention to somebody's throat and then back to you. So in this, when we're out in the world, when I'm out in the world, I tend to not be quite as movement oriented as I am, but here you're among friends and you can let yourself move as much as you want to. So if you want to do like a Star Wars laser beam, you can do that and then give it to yourself. So letting yourself playing with love and appreciation. And if you get stuck, beautiful. And then just take a moment and notice if you've created, what's going on right now in the world creates, I think, a lot of jangly, just really kind of static, jangly. So what I noticed just from our time together that I feel smoother inside, I feel more flowing rather than more raggedy. So just notice if you've made any shift toward more flow, ease and flow inside. And this is something that you can come back to. And even the intention, I'm willing to explore how I can give and receive more love and appreciation today. And then you'll notice there'll be opportunities to do that as you move along through your day. and they could be surprising and fun for you. So here, let me pull up the Presence Connect play. Ah, beautiful. So present is find your feet. I experience this as such a great shortcut to presence. Particularly if I'm getting spun out or, taken out into the world of drama, finding my feet is like, oh, here I am, which is also I'm here. I'm not all over the place. I'm here. So notice what happens for you when you let yourself consciously find your feet, and then let yourself feel your feet. So feel the connection of your feet with whatever they're connected to. So mine are connected to my shoes, my sandals, and my sandals are connected to the floor. And I can sense that and feel the quality of the difference between my sandals and their connection to the floor. And that, just feeling into that, creates presence for me. So that for me is a very effective way of creating presence among all of the ones that we have. And then, excuse me, and then connect is loop and shift your attention. So that's what we've just been practicing. So the actual shifting of your attention is a wonderful way of connecting in with you and connecting with what's going on around you. And I've been surprised to, when I deliberately shift my attention, to notice that I hadn't been. So you might go, oh yeah, I practice loop of awareness and I'm shifting my attention. But if you're caught in something, if you're feeling stuck, one of the most effective moves to connect yourself to what's going on is to simply shift your attention. And so I'd like you to think of something that you're troubled by right now, or that you're trying to fix, or you're trying to hero. And I'd like you to notice, where is your attention when you're thinking about it? So is it more out or is it more in? And then I'd like you to simply shift your attention a couple of times. Shift it out, shift it back into find your feet, and then shifting it out. And doing that a few times is like clearing the cobwebs. It's dusting the window, it's opening the window so that you're opening space. So let yourself notice that just that shift can create more ease and flow for you. And then play, is exaggerate your gestures and expressions. So, this one is so great, because most of the time, when we're trying to create a difference, a lot of what people say is calm down, like, to make it stop. And that actually takes so much attention that I find it so much more effective to go the way it's going. So if you've got like yesterday, when I saw the news about bombing, I first had an expletive come out of my mouth, and then it was like my attention went out. And so instead of going, oh, here we go, I went, ah. So I'd love for you to notice, when you're thinking about something that's troubling you, what's going on in you. Like, do your shoulders come up, or do you want to crawl under the bed, or do you want to rant? And I'd like you to go ahead and let yourself exaggerate that, so that you're not trying to, be grown up about it, and be like it. Just go ahead and exaggerate for a moment and take it. And that can include sounds too, because that's the wonderful thing about being muted, is that you can just, yell at the computer, or, yell at the world, or yell at the generals, or, oh, and when I do that, I notice, first of all, that my insides go, thank you. Thank you for recognizing that I'm freaked out here, rather than saying, oh, it's going to be okay. Because some part of you goes, no, it's not going to be okay. And so for you to go ahead and not have it be okay, then allows you to, I can be with that. And so now I'd like you to let yourself do some love scoops for wherever you are feeling you want them after letting yourself exaggerate a little bit. So before we end today, I think today would be a great day to do some here I am, and I'm so glad. So here I am, and how's your here I am? And I'm so glad. And today I'm so glad to have us all here. Here we are, here I am, and I'm so glad. Oh, ooh, that feels good. So love scoops can also be love taps and loves. Oh, so here I am, and here you are, and I'm so glad. So please take very good care of yourselves, shifting and moving, and we've got lots of resources, but sorting the two files and letting yourself be willing to give and receive love and appreciation. I think those will be good tools for you for this week. All righty, so I'm going to take my leave now, and please stay and play. And until next time, mwah, take care.